Today, last week, just in case people missed it, we did talk about the short-term plans. The one company that I know of that's trying to do something a little different in hopes that they're going to change the short-term plan again. Uh, third time, third or fourth time since the Affordable Care Act. So if you're looking for short-term stuff and something alternative, go look at last week's with Letty. But I wanted to make sure in case anybody missed it, if you need somebody that's walking in your office today who needs it next year, and if you're in a state that gives you 3 years, or if you're in a state like mine that gives you 364 days, you can quote Pivot's Epic plan for January 1st right now. And as long as they sign up before the end of this month, next year's taken care of. So in case anybody missed that, that's the only one I know of. United Healthcare doesn't have that. Allstate doesn't have that. They're the only ones that are quoting for 1/1, and Epic is our favorite one. And it's cheap. Like it's actually less expensive for them than some of them that are on it right now. So if you are still looking for those last minute short term, you got, about 8 days. All right. Today we have Mike on. Next week, we're going to have guest speaker Lucy. She has a very interesting product to help reduce the diabetes supplies. Now, this can be on ACA. This can be for Medicare. This could be somebody who is on a ministry plan who walks into your office saying, hey, I need help with prescriptions. So this is just a resource. She says she's got about 30 minutes of content, and then we'll open it up for questions. It's kind of nice. I like finding these, especially diabetes supplies. It's not just the insulin, right? It's all of it. So she'll be on next week. Then on the 15th, I will have Dean from NABIB, which used to be Yahoo, talking about what they're doing for you. What's the point of NABIB, what their process is, and what you can, if you want to be involved, this is why you would become a member. To be truthful, I became a member because I'm pretty sure I got a spam email, and it was an article that I wanted to read, I think. That's probably how it started. And I was like, well, they seem to be giving me news from the hill that I don't have time to research. And so I became a member, and that was all I did for quite a few years. I just got their email, I got and I sent it out to my staff for those who want to learn more. And this year I went to Chicago for one of their yearly meeting, and went, this is cool. All right. Now I'm starting to learn some of the stuff about what they do and how I can get more involved. So he'll be on next week. And I love Dean. He's been selling health insurance probably since before I was born. But and then on the 12th, we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about income. There's still questions on whose income, what's income. I want to make sure as we're going into the open enrollment season and that you really understand income. Where are they getting this from? What are we talking about? What year and all that kind of stuff. And then on the 19th of September, I have Steven Weinberger. He's a friend of mine. And those of you who have met him know he's quite the character. That man is always selling. So he's going to come on and talk about prospecting and how to do this. And he layers as well. He and I are both really good at offering those different layers. That man, he seriously will get a client at the hotel in the gym. He'll be working in the gym and then go, so how do you like your health insurance? Is Medicare working for you? And he'll go to a restaurant and walk away with 5 clients. So if you want to know grassroots, like this is free, come listen to Steven Weinberger. And he is quite the character. You don't have to be the character. You can have pink hair or you don't have to, but just come learn, and there'll be some stuff that you're like, okay, I can do that. I can do that. You can't say I can't afford marketing, because there is free marketing. And today we have Mike Moore. He's from Affordable Care .ai. Woo, that scary artificial intelligence thing. Mike and I have talked, and he's got, man, I can tell he's got a million ideas in his brain, and he's like excited about where AI is going. So I wanted to bring him on to kind of talk about that, let you guys hear some of the things that he sees in the AI world. So I have a couple questions, Mike. How long have you been in health insurance?
I was licensed in 2017, so that's 7 years.
And then the tech side, because that's kind of where you're going. Have you been doing that long, or was it because of health insurance that you started delving into that, or how'd you get into the tech stuff?
Into bots?
Yeah.
So I was, when I got out of college, I went into the trading world, onto the trading floor. And that world quickly went from being a large open outcry, big, ex-athletes yelling and screaming in the pits, to a bunch of computers fighting for, for market share. So I had to force myself to learn how to hire and manage data teams and technology development teams. And so then we actually had a many years ago, back in 2013. Back in 2013, we had a pretty big system. It was going great. We were pretty big market makers in what's called the VIX product, the volatility index. And our partners, I mean, this is not part of the story, so I don't want to dwell on this, but they stole everything from us. And so we were left, I woke up one day and everything was gone. The system was gone. I couldn't log into anything. All my money was gone. And so right. And you don't really come back in that business from being set like that. So, we have whatever giant lawsuit still against them where they supposedly owe us 25 million, but whatever. Again, that's not the story exactly. That's just saying I took a big, had a big wreck and ended up with nothing effectively. And so what we tried to do at that point was become consultants to the trading world. And I had mild success at best, had a little bit of success. I had no idea how to run a business. I had no idea how to do marketing. I had no idea how to find clients. And we probably weren't all that great at what we were trying to do anyways, because we had learned it for ourselves and we were doing a couple of cool things. So it just wasn't enough to work out 100% on me. That wasn't, so what I started doing then is looking for other opportunities in the world based on the things I was interested in. I was interested in data, and I had to learn marketing. I had to learn how to run a business. And I didn't know any of those things at the time. So I started looking through and really getting into the marketing world and learning how the marketing world is also about data and the marketing world. And then I started to fixate on lead generation. I found lead generation something that was very interesting to me. And so I managed to go find a couple lead generation clients. We were doing this consulting thing, and I was working for a big, actually it came from one of our deals in the trading world. We helped this company build a signal, just a little app that read through Twitter data and tried to come up with positive or negative signals based on what people were saying. And so to do that, we had to go through the Twitter feed, get all the data, identify who was saying what, classify it into positive, negative, and different things, and then do this. It was a fun little project. I don't think it worked very well for them, but it was fun to put together. And through that, we found marketing clients. There was actually a big gym, and I signed a non-disclosure, so I'm not allowed to say who it is, but it was a big gym, and we were a small part of this project. We were not managing the project. We were not they hired us to build that data system that we had just built for this other company. And so we got paid peanuts, but it was eye-opening. So we were scanning through Twitter, and when somebody would say something like, man, it's time to get back in the gym, I put on some weight, we would identify that and send them a message that said, great, we support that. Why don't you come to your local so-and-so gym? Here's a free pass. Come see the local manager named this, right? And they loved it. They loved it because it was completely related to what they were expressing right now. And I was shocked at how well it worked. I think this is working amazingly well. They were getting 500 leads a day like this, and so we were sending out thousands of these messages. And that was my first bot system and first marketing lead generation system that I put in there. We learned some really important things in that period of time. And first, I was hooked. I was like, lead generation, that's what I want to do. I want to do lead generation. This is my thing. This is my jam. This is great. But I wasn't very good at that yet either. I was okay at it. Well, okay, I had done one project. Wasn't very good at that yet either. So I started looking around okay, well, who needs leads? And I looked at it. It's okay, well, the, insurance agents, marketing, real estate agents, and, mortgage agents, those are the guys who need leads. And I just took a look at it and I was like, well, housing market fluctuates. I don't want to be involved with that. I'm not pretty enough and I don't like to clean houses. So I'm not going to be very good at a real estate agent. I might as well be a health insurance agent. And that was really what it was. I'm going to figure out how to generate my own leads, close this system so I can make money. And then eventually I'm going to figure out how to be a lead generation person in the health insurance world. And that was why I got started 7 years ago.
So you started as your own client.
Yeah.
Really, right?
I mean, I started at the bottom, and I started learning things the way everyone else does them too. I took multiple steps back and I was like, okay, I'm going to learn your system first and learn the way you do things. And so it took me a long time to come back to the point where, now I'm starting to do actual lead generation for others, which is what I wanted to do in the first place. Yeah.
So this is one of the things, if you're talking and I'm like, all right, this guy's passionate about technology. And I'm sure how many of you are like, wow, he's saying words that I know mean stuff, but I'm so glad that somebody else likes this, right? Because we know
Right.
we need like lead generation. We know we need technology. And some of you are like, oh, this is scary. That's what those bots are doing. Well, fortunately or
Mhm.
unfortunately, whatever it is, that's the world we live in, right? We live
Yeah.
in a world with technology, and yes, Google owns the world. People talk
Yeah.
about the government is controlling. No, 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 no. Google. They
Yeah.
have all your
Right.
information, right?
Right.
So you can have. Mike was telling me, and I thought this was pretty fascinating. One of the things about here's a positive about the bot thing is that as soon as somebody says, "I need to lose weight," and there's a thing that shows up in their inbox, they're 100% more likely to click on that
Oh
than
God.
four
Yeah.
weeks later when they get something in the mail, right?
Oh,
And so,
it's insane. So, again, our
yeah,
data from that situation was coming from Twitter. So, it might be a condensed environment. It's not the same as, meeting somebody in person, perhaps. Like there's going to be, a different function. But
right.
on Twitter, when somebody's on their phone and they say, "Hey, you know what? God, I got to get back in the gym. I really need to lose some weight. Time to, get back after it." We found the data was very clear, and we were sending 20,000 messages a day or something. I mean, we were doing, not that many. It was maybe more like 2,000 messages a day, excuse me. But
Sure.
so we were sending thousands of messages a day, and it was extremely clear. Twitter, there was a delay in there. It wasn't immediate, but basically as soon as you got the message, if you sent it, it would be anywhere from about 20 seconds to a minute later after they did their post. And if you got really lucky, it might be like 15 seconds later. So really, we're like the precision we're looking at is in minute 1, minute 2, minute 3, minute 4. But if you got the message there in minute 1, it had a 50% better engagement than just minute 3. And if you got, in minute 3, had something like a 50% better engagement than 60 minutes later. And if you waited 24 hours, it was about 1/5 as much of an engagement. Just 24 hours later, you'll get 1/5 as many people responding to your message as responding within the first minute. So speed to lead and sending them the right message that they want in the moment with the speed to lead was that was the combination of ingredients that equaled results.
And that was how long ago?
That was 2017.
So there you go. So Twitter was kind of the one of the first instantaneous,
Mm-hmm.
and then we got TikTok, and it
Right.
has not gotten less, that instantaneous. It's
Yeah.
gotten more. I mean, people expect that on Facebook. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We're baby
Mm-hmm.
boomers and Gen Xers, man. I'm not responding to you instantaneously. But
Right.
it's our world is becoming more instant. So
Mm-hmm.
before I completely give it over to you, I'm going to ask you the question. Um,
Yeah.
it says if you look up Mike, and you guys are going to cringe. It says no
Uh-huh.
call. And you're all like,
Right.
oh, no call agent. Hiss
Right.
boo. What does that mean? Why do you say that?
Okay. So that's a great question. Um, and I've considered changing my own name or just embracing it twice as much, right? Or but I started calling myself a no call broker back in 2018. I was a year and a half or so into the business, and what I saw, what the big force in the business at the time was Assurance. Remember, Assurance, who just left us. May they rest in peace. So Assurance and their goal at the time was to just generate leads and then blast them with phone calls. And I'm talking about like hundreds of calls in the first 2 hours, thousands of calls over a couple of months. I mean, they just absolutely destroyed somebody's phone
And you
and
guys know that,
everyone hated
right?
it.
If you ever did those leads and you call and you were the 5th one or the 100th one,
Oh my
right? Your
God.
client, yeah, yep. So yeah, they didn't do us. We've all been there. At least, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't even do that. And I've had people walk in going, why were you calling me? I'm like, I don't do that. So yeah.
Yeah, because if you bought your lead somewhere, they could call it exclusive, but yet somebody else somehow has it. And the lead may have filled out another form, or the company may have lied to you about being exclusive and called it themselves. And who knows? But Assurance was playing every game out there, and it was just a terrible experience for the customer. So I came out and called myself the no call broker to say, like, I will not act like that with you. But what I started doing and this was before high level was really a thing. And it was before I mean, I think high level had just been started, but I hadn't heard about it yet. And it was before just starting to come on. So I use Zapier when like I would.
And I don't know if it's you or me, Mike, but you're cutting in and out. So, whew, it might have just disappeared. uh, do. So I will tell
Mike's
you.
the one. Looks like Mike's froze. I
Yeah, I
can
was
hear
gonna
you.
say his whole thing just disappeared. He did the no call before that became a thing. So as if you were 2018 was before we all started going, why are people doing the no call? That's really the bad no call has only been in the last 2-3 years. So hopefully he's gonna get back on there. And Sharon, just so you know, Zapier is it's a internet program that can connect multiple companies together. So like you can have Agency Block as your CRM, and then you have an intake form over here with a different company, and Zapier can help connect them. You can have they're kind of a hub if anybody else has a better explanation, but they're a hub between all of the different products that you might be. They can help make it all talk to each other. So that's what Zapier is. It's kind of fascinating. It's expensive, which is why we have not engaged in Zapier. I have enough expenses, but Zapier makes multiple computer systems talk to each other. So hopefully Mike will jump on. There he is. Maybe, nope, he was on and then he disappeared. There he is. There you go, Marshall. It's a no-code way to integrate platforms. So it's not HIPAA compliant yet. I'm sure that's coming. But I was just explaining what Zapier is. So
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah, Marshall knows what he's talking about. Yeah, so Zapier, I would not call the leads, and I really I was spending my entire day calling, and then the entire day trying to, just like everyone else, I was doing whatever, and I would literally start calling at 9 a.m. and not stop calling until 7 p.m. or something, and it wasn't. So I was putting in as much effort as I possibly could, and the results were, disappointing. Like they were there, like they were paying my bills, but the results were disappointing. Right, I was not making enough to justify those hours. And what I started doing instead is like, okay, I know I need to do something different. I know I need to take a step in a different direction. So what I started doing was sending them, I called it my Trident, and it was the silly name. And all it was instead of calling them, I would send them one text. I had found some app to do a voicemail drop. It was called like Slide something or other. And of course, they're probably not even around anymore. And then I was using, and then I would send them an email. And from there, I was getting so much more engagement than trying to call them. So, and I was totally selling the other agents out. I would say something like, look, you're getting bombarded by calls right now. I hate these call centers as much as you do. If you want to chat with me, I'm here for you, but I won't call you until you say yes, and they loved it. They loved. So that was me calling myself the no call broker. Was I will not call you until you tell me to call you. It wasn't about enrolling people without talking to them. It was about, and it wasn't a promise to the agents to skip your fucking job, to skip your job. It was a promise to the clients that I'm not going to bother you. That it wasn't, so, and that worked. So what I did a lot after that was I started, instead of just sending them into a text conversation, that's when I started sending them into messenger conversations, and then creating. So what I found is that, of course, there is no replacement for the human. And I want to be very clear about that. There is no replacement for the human agent. Okay. There is no replacement for the human connection, right? There is no replacement for the human warmth and the human, all these things that humans can do that bots can't do, that automated systems can't even come close to doing. But what an automated system does is engages right now, and it shows value right now. And by showing value right now, and especially showing value right now with things that they understand. So like we're in health insurance, you can send them a quote with a Blue Cross. They understand Blue Cross, right? They may not understand some sort of, or what. So like I would put them into a little system where they would get what I called a quick quote, show them information right there. And if they wanted to keep talking about it, they just would. And they were in my messenger campaign. So like I would, and that was before, I mean, God, they were so cheap back then. Back in 2018, I was getting messenger conversations for like $4. Had I really known what was going to happen with that, I should have just taking out loans to go get more of those at the time, because it's a lot more expensive now. But that was what the no call broker thing was. It was my promise to the client that I'm not going to blast your phone and triple dial and call you 25 times and, sell your information and do all these types of things until you are ready to talk to me. It was absolutely not trying to give agents a way to skip just auto enroll somebody with some minimal information.
Which I was just saying, I think it was 21 that really started becoming the issue, which there's other reasons the no call thing became an issue. And it's really more because of the 150% SEP, in my opinion. That's a big one. That just opened up those call centers and those computer systems that they trained to just do that. So it was not necessarily, as he was saying, I'm just not going to call you unless you want me to. So different perspective, right? But we don't know that. So it's up to you, Mike, whether, you want to leave it that way for those who don't know, right?
My website. I've scrubbed that everywhere from my website. I'll probably still call myself that at times and explain the difference, because I think it's a good opportunity to explain the difference between what we're trying to do and what they're trying to do. But no, CMS doesn't like that name right now. They don't want me.
Correct.
It draws undue attention to have that type of name.
Yes. So go on with the rest of your stuff. What you got?
Yeah, well, okay. So we started doing messenger bots for a long time, and they worked great. And so we've been doing the ACA stuff for a while. So there's two types of, the way we look at it, there's two types of bots. You have a bot that flows, okay? That's like mini chat. So mini chat will say, hey, question 1, are you a Medicare agent or an ACA agent? And if you say Medicare agent, it takes you this way. And if you say ACA agent, it takes you this way. And then, okay, so since you're a Medicare agent, when did you first start your A and B? So you can take them down flows, logical flows that change the questions, but you can't change those questions. And it's very difficult to do things like understanding their responses, so it's a very much like a form but through a bot. Like it's just like it's almost like a replacement for a form, with the exception of, like, as a human, you can jump in and take over that conversation when you need to engage them. Okay. But then when the AI started really taking over and like being this huge, big thing, we wanted to start obviously adding the AI to it. There's a problem with the AI. AI does not flow very well. It's hard to put all those flows. So one of the big challenges that we've figured out, that we've had to understand over the years, is how to combine sort of like the AI flexibility and the AI analysis and the AI, uniqueness and like specificity to that question, to that situation, with something that flows into different logical like steps, right? And so everyone, if I don't know how many people watching this are using things like CloseBot or using things like Consolidata or using things like Zappy Chat, but they attempt to accomplish this by using super complicated workflows in high level, combined with different bots. And so everyone's trying to figure this out. And that was an issue that we had to figure out for a while. And so we feel like we have some really cool things that we are doing in there that are simple, that we can scale. And so we are now, I've finally gotten back to the point where I'm focused on helping other agents instead of growing my own business. I don't even produce anymore. I am 100% focused on building systems for other agents. And that's what I wanted to do the whole time. I was growing a pretty big book and doing pretty well. I didn't like doing the same thing over. Like, I'm the sort of person, I need new challenges each day. I want to go out there and be creative and do things like that. And the insurance production, a good producer is on the other end of that personality type. A good producer does the same thing all the time, every day, over and over again, and gets great at it. And I didn't like it. I didn't like doing the same thing all day, every day. So, just for me personally, I wanted to get to this spot, but here we are, and I'm excited. I wake up excited now, even though my income is a lot less right now than it was a year ago, close to a year. Hopefully that'll change as we start to release these products.
So what are your products? What do you got?
Okay. Fantastic question. So we have built our ACA CRM, which everyone has. It's the thing that is in the center of all these tools that we use to control it with. We have some unique features that we have combined with it. So I have an ACA flow that takes clients through a quote similar to my messenger thing, but it's completely HIPAA compliant. It's private data. It takes them through a simple quote and then gets them to get to the next spot and talk to the agent. That's the ACA, our ACA flow. We have a database function that goes with it that incorporates health Sherpa data and then breaks up that data into different tags and segments that we can send back to fire off workflows from high level. And so those are general, just like workflow things. That's just like how you take an agent or a client from a lead to enrolling, but then to really soup it up and make it worthwhile, we have text. We have 3 AI functions. We have a messaging AI function, and we're doing that through CloseBot. So I'm being 100% transparent. We've built an AI tool through CloseBot that manages text messaging, that manages emails, that manages Messenger. We have built our own AI receptionist tool, which is awesome, and you guys should use it. We can add as many phone numbers as you want to a high level account. You can connect them to any phone number. It'll warm transfer or do appointments to an agent. Just, if they answer, it's a warm transfer. If they don't answer, the thing will come back and set an appointment with them. It's fantastic. And then we also have the AI outgoing calling. And the cool thing is they are modularly placed onto the system. So you can use the CRM by itself with the ACA flow. You can add on the text messaging to help. So basically, when we send out a workflow, it's like, hey, thank you for filling out this form. Can we help you with something, right? Do you have any questions or whatever? If the AI is connected, the AI will start responding when they respond. If the AI is not connected, the human needs to respond. It's just that simple. So connect the AI to get those conversations into an appointment. The goal is to take those conversations and fact find with them. We send them a link to fact find, the ACA flow to fact find, and we're trying to set an appointment. So as soon as they become a lead, as soon as they fill out the lead form, we are reaching out to them to set that appointment. We're also calling them with the AI system to set the appointment, to get them on the phone, to engage them, to get them into a warm transfer right now, or to set the appointment, just depending on which campaign we're using, right? And so our system chases down these clients going from lead into what I call prospect. Prospect is after they've given us all their information, and then client is, after they've finished the appointment and become a client. But our entire goal here is to take them from, is to engage them into an appointment, into a phone call with the agent, right? At scale.
Getting them to do it quickly, right?
Quickly, yes. Yeah, without the agent needing to do their own prospecting. So for instance, we have hot lists, and like, let's say there's a hot list of people who you're talking to. Let's say the agent has an hour. We have a function. You take the hot list and you say, add to this workflow. Boom, the system will do a drip where it'll start to reach out to people and say, hey, I have a minute. Can you get on the phone? Hey, I have a minute. So the goal is the ultimate goal is to have the agent just show up with a schedule that's populated, and to have the tools to fill up a schedule that isn't populated if the data is there.
Now, how do you help people find the data, right? So you're a new agent, you don't have a hot list yet. Do we do stuff in Facebook or Instagram, or is that part of it as well?
We
With
haven't
that
offered
part, or
that
is it,
yet
no, they
as
need
a
to get those
service.
leads to plug in?
Yeah, and so there's a couple ways to do it. So generally, you can do either a new lead campaign, which is, I recommend just the most basic lead form ads out there, or something equivalent to that. I mean, you can send leads to a landing page, or you can do a lead form, or you can send them into Messenger, and you can do that on different platforms. I recommend getting the most simple lead possible. Just collect their name, phone number, and email. We don't want to put any extra friction in there. And because we have the system to engage them and push them through to an agent, we don't want to put any extra friction in there whatsoever. We'll figure out the rest later, right? We're not asking them all these extra questions, and we're absolutely not trying to get them to fill out the entire application so we can enroll them from a lead form, right?
Right.
So I do recommend lead forms. If there's some other way to do it, like if you have a database of your own, this thing works almost exactly the same as a database reactivation campaign. You just have to make sure that the messaging is on point. So this person, whatever this group is, that segment relates to each other, and you're reaching out for a specific reason. And then from there, it's just a workflow. You reach out to them, see who wants help with the particular problem that you're representing to them. And when they respond, then you put them into an appointment and do what you need to do. But the AI will chase them down. Chase them down is a terrible way to put it. The AI will engage, you know, and
But
the
it's doing it behind. I mean, I think
mhm,
that's some, that's how the system's working smarter for you. So you're doing your
mhm,
stuff, and that system is doing all of that. And all of a sudden, there's a
mhm,
calendar appointment, or you're like,
mhm,
hey, for this 2 hours, I'm sitting here, and the phone rings, and it's a warm transfer that the system found somebody who's ready to
mhm,
talk to you right now. Some people actually do still answer their phone,
mhm,
or it's put on the calendar, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have an appointment. So this is
mhm,
happening behind the scenes while
mhm,
you're still working. So
mhm.
that's the AI possibility, right? Getting it
Right.
to do that to then get to you. So you're not, as Mike said,
Mhm,
spending 9 to 5 calling, trying to follow up on every voicemail or message
mhm.
on, whatever, platform you're on. Now, if somebody did buy, I don't know, they bought 100 leads, they could just upload that in there, and then the system
Totally.
could do that, right?
Look, as long as you're confident that those leads are compliant, absolutely.
Yes. Well, in theory, they're supposed
In
to
theory,
be
they're compliant. That's
one-time
right.
contact, right? They're not supposed to be able to send them out, but there are still lead generation stuff. Sharon's got a great question. Can they use this for any type of product like long-term care or life, or is this only for ACA?
It's 100% usable for any product, but it will need to be customized a little bit for those other products. So like our CRM is highly specific to the ACA. So like for instance, if she has her own CRM, her own high level, then absolutely we could connect, or she could do the same thing as us, and connect these bots to her system, and it absolutely is useful.
So that brings up a question because I know there's
Uh-huh.
people going, "What the heck is high level?" You've mentioned it a
Oh,
couple
are
times.
they?
We're like, "What's high
Sorry.
level?" I don't know what high level. This is your tech side talking. I only learned about it about a month ago. So
Really? Okay. Well, it's a CRM, and it seems to be the most um, you know popular or most used, as far as I can tell, CRM in the insurance world. And I use it every day, so I guess I just assume that everyone knows what it is, but maybe that's a bad assumption. It's just a CRM system, and it's quite good at it's quite useful for building marketing workflows. So for the upfront marketing side, for the basically taking a lead and converting them into a client, it's a very good tool.
it seems like from the conversations I've had, high level, for those kind of non-teching, if I'm wrong, Mike, correct me. It's a bit of a blank canvas that's already
Mhm.
there, but now I can
Right.
customize it. So a lot of companies that are starting to customize CRMs, it's high level is the platform.
Yeah,
That's the platform, and now they're Legoing all the stuff on top of it. So then the question
totally.
is, so the CRM, if you've ever had a CRM that you're moving to another one, is like, oh my goodness, I hate this. Can you help connect that? Or if they already have a high level, is that easy? But if they have like agency block like we do, or smart office, or whatever, is
Mhm.
that what does that integration look like?
Yeah, we can absolutely we can upload our tools into other agents in other agents high levels.
Okay.
It will be a little bit more difficult to use another CRM, but some of our tools can be used in other CRMs. We can absolutely very streamline and easily upload our stuff into somebody else's CRM. Most of it, there's a couple of things that we can't do in somebody else's CRM, but most of it is useful in somebody else's CRM as well. And it's the exactly same thing. It's just you're going to have to support your own like your own snapshot. Well, we can give you the snapshot, but you will have to manage it and you will have to do those things. But that's what that means. If somebody's running their own high level or in their own, if you have somebody else's like if service, then they're supporting it, not us. But that's the only real difference. It's whether we support your CRM or whether they do, and our systems will absolutely work in any CRM.
And because you mentioned this, and those of you who have downloaded the Excel spreadsheet from Health Sherpa, it has a million things on it. I mean, I think if you printed it off, it would be like a mile long.
Mm-hmm.
It's got so much data, right? And we're just like, oh my goodness, I want the name, the date of birth, and Mike's system can take all that data. He's already got it kind of platformed. So
Mm-hmm.
you could, I mean, hypothetically, maybe you can't. You may want to use Mike to do some of that. And then Mike, the information, somebody gives back all this information. Can we
Mm-hmm.
get that in Excel and then upload it to our CRM if it's not something that's
You
a category?
can. So
Or
yeah, like you can take the health Sherpa export, and I mean, depending on how many clients you have, it's a very big file.
yes,
They have, I mean, what is it, like 97 different fields or something right now? It goes all the way out into like the fourth alphabet or something, right?
yeah,
Um,
it's
you know,
insane.
and a lot of it's blank too. So they're like, "What's the name of your ninth child?" You're like, "Oh God, you really have to waste my space with this." you know, but yeah, so that page itself has obviously a ton of data into it. One of the things that we've done with our high level snapshot is we have every field from that export in there. So every single field can be moved over to high level to run any sort of workflow you want. But the way that we do it, the reason I added a database, a layer of a database to process it first. So I have a database where we upload those files first. And the immediate, like some immediate value is it saves it, it keeps it somewhere else. It's completely HIPAA compliant. It's saved in a secure database. We also save every file and can compare the files. So we do a lot of file comparison reports, like from the last file to this file, what has changed? So we're looking for clients who have differences in their applications. And some of those are simply going to be like data didn't update. So whatever you find that you want to look for, you can look for, and then we can create reports. So in you define what we're looking for, and then we create those change reports. We also create absolute reports, meaning like everyone who is in Texas or everyone. And look, you can do these things on yourself with Excel. We've just found it to be a lot easier and a lot faster to do with this system. And then what we're doing is, because we have these reports ready to go, we can take the report from a new Health Sherpa export and just say, hey, boom, all these people, send their information over to high level. We go in and we choose which information we want to update. So we say, okay, we only want to update these three, or we want to update everything for this entire list. We can take people out of the list if you want to groom the list a little bit. And then you send that over. So the data and the tags that you want to add, we can add a tag right there on the high level side. So, and then you say from the database, it'll update high level with either new contacts, if there's new contacts in there, with all the data from the existing contacts that you want to change, and the tags. So what that then does is allows you to connect that tag to a workflow. So for example, one of the things that we do a lot is we've created DMI workflows, DMIs, the data matching issues, right? Data matching issues. Health Sherpa will give you a file that has application numbers. And I don't know if you've ever tried to work through this file, but it's annoying. So you have to take the application number, and then you have to cross-reference it to the application number on the other file. And then you have to see like, okay, here's the due date. And some of that stuff is in the Health Sherpa export, so you can just do it from there. But we prefer to do it from the actual DMI file. And our database cross-references those things and then creates the DMI list. So we have one of our segments is everyone who has a DMI coming up, and we can send that over to high level, and the system will reach out to a client. The workflow will reach out to a client and say, hey, if you don't give us, the CMS or the marketplace wants your income information. They need you to confirm your income. If you don't do that by August 19th, then you might lose your insurance. Please, do you have any questions or you want to reach out to us? We send them a link where they can upload the thing themselves. It also shows them, it goes through all the information that we have, like that Health Sherpa shows you, that the marketplace shows you about that DMI. So we're showing them that document list of here's the things that you can use to prove this DMI. If you have those, please upload them here. If you have any questions, please click here. And then if they respond, we try to do the same thing with the bot. We try to set an appointment with them to solve that DMI.
And so that's happening without me having to do it. Like I can set that workflow up so that it's finding those people that need those documents, instead of me always having to set up a calendar appointment to follow up, and then the system can doing it.
Yeah, the thing that you have to do as the agent there is you have to export your file, your Health Sherpa file, into the database. There is no automation for that. They don't want automation there. You have to manually export the file. You have to manually upload it into the database, like move it into the little thing. And after that, you do have to make sure that, you have to actually, we're not doing automated updates from the database. I just feel like it would be too potentially challenging. So the agent does have to go in there and say, this DMI list, let's update it. Let's send anyone who's new into the DMI workflow. So we have a DMI workflow, and it breaks it into all the different types of DMIs. And then, then it goes down and reaches out to people, and it won't reach out again if they're already in the DMI workflow. Right. So yes, all that stuff happens in the background as soon as so like if you have a big book, I know agents who will have a DMI list that's 400 people. Right. You need to reach out to 400 of your clients and check your income, or you're going to lose 15,000 on your bottom line by next month, right? Okay, well, that's a problem.
Right. So it's not
but
100% automated, but it's still I mean, if you got one or two Z's, it's not a big deal. But as your book of business grows, you get more of those.
that's right. Yeah. My book of business started to get so big. There was no chance I could do all these things like that. And I had to start to create automations for myself to scale it. So, I mean, look, I was managing over 4,000 clients this time last year, so it was, it was
It's a stupid amount
impossible.
of clients to deal with.
It was impossible to deal with myself. I couldn't even answer the phone.
Correct.
I had to have the system answer the phone. I had to have automations reach out to people. And ultimately, I also just don't think I was doing a great job. And I was focusing more on doing the systems than helping the clients, which is why I shouldn't be helping clients. I should be building systems, right? But I built all my systems to scale these things out. Like I'm using the big ACA agent or the successful ACA agent in mind, not the entry level ACA agent.
So I'm going to ask you an easy question, and then I got another one. So Aaron is saying, can you please verify that our clients' data would not get sold as leads to another agent or agency after we input them into the CRM?
Totally. So what we do is we sign the the HIPAA compliant business agreement. But yes,
Because their clients are their clients, they're not your clients. Just
100%.
like any other CRM.
We don't
correct?
even have clients right now. Well, I mean, I have some left over.
Your
but
personal clients, but yes.
We're not. But I'm not even renewing them, and like I'm giving those clients away to my downline agents, and so I'm not dealing with it at all. No, we are not cross-pollinating. We are not trying to do. If I get a free lead in, I'm looking for an agent to give it away right now. It's like I'm not closing business. But no, absolutely. That is an extremely relevant question, especially for the high level system, though, is the agency owner of high level has access to everything. They have access to every sub account, every shred of data to every sub account. And so the only way to deal with that is to sign that BAA. So you have teeth if you find out the agency was doing something. And then you just have to trust the agency.
Now, this is every CRM, just so you know.
Probably. Yeah,
Agency Block, which they have access to all of our stuff, right?
Yeah.
Every CRM has access to, I mean, they're backing up the data. They have all that. So, so this is a CRM like any other CRM. It's just Mike's CRM. So somebody did ask, is this a standalone system or do you have to have high level? Well, if you buy your system, you have high level, right? I mean,
we do have some tools you can use on their own. Like you can connect our receptionist to your cell phone. I mean, so the receptionist works like there's a number that you call and you forward into the receptionist, or you could just use the receptionist number if you really want to. So the receptionist number, we designed it to be in the middle and not ever seen by the client. But basically, if you have a phone number on your website, the client calls it, it forwards into the receptionist processes it, and then sends it back into your cell phone or to whatever number you want. And so you could use the receptionist just with your cell phone. We have something called an agent portal that is standalone that shows some types of CRM things like contact data and transcripts. The ACA flow you could also use without, you could simply plug in our ACA flow, back into a website where it would work. But I mean, it would be frustrating because the data would come out you would have to do a webhook to get the data into something, and we could absolutely help somebody do that if they want to. But you basically would have to design your own system around it to support it at that point. And high level is we design it to integrate into high level. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you created it for your high levels.
Yeah. Right. So we're creating it for ourselves. Yeah.
Somebody did ask, how can we get a demo and do you have a website? Because I know Mike is still kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still working on our pilot program members, where I have some agencies that we're working with, and we're going to find great success with them and hopefully build some things out. But we are absolutely still deciding exactly on what the offer is going to be to the general public. We're right now, like I'm fully aware it's August 22nd and open enrollment's around the corner, and I'm fully aware that ACA agents have all these problems that they have to deal with right now, and new problems, all these new so. Our goal, when we have solidified our offer, we're just going to be giving our systems away for a while, like literally. But to do that, I'm basically carving things out so that so it's like almost instant to set up. I'm trying to carve out an offer that doesn't require difficult setup or difficult extra coordination. And so as soon as I have that in place, and I have the videos in place and the landing page in place, and I plan to launch that any day. should have been launched by now, but there's always delays. We are literally just going to give systems away and say, hey guys, go do what you want with them. Go use them and pay nothing until I think December 15th is what we're saying. Like, you can use it for 3 months. If you sign up for this by October 15th, you can use it for free until December 15th. And let me make sure what free means, because people don't understand that. That means I'm not charging you something, but you still have fees for your text messages and for your emails and for buying a phone number in Twilio and for doing A2P. Just to be clear, I mean, that's, I think people understand that, but it's
Well,
probably.
Mike, as soon as you have those videos and you're
Yeah.
ready to go, which, give yourself a deadline, send it to me and I will send it out to this group and I will add it
Awesome.
to the YouTube channel, because I know there's interest in this. This is why I
Yeah.
brought you on. Aaron is asking, what's your brand and how do we get connected? So I don't know if you want to put your
Oh
email
yeah,
in
they
there
can
or in
totally.
the
They
chat.
look, they can go to my website right now and start to get an understanding of what's going on. We have started to put out. We've been working for the last month on some support documents to show all the support stuff. We do have some information about our tools in there, not a ton, but it's, you can go like in the help desk documents. There's a lot more. But if you go to affordablecare.ai, sorry, that's my client facing page. It's solutions.affordablecare.ai. So solutions.affordablecare.ai, you can start to get an idea of what our stuff's about. We will put the offer on that page, or in a link off that page. So if you just want to keep going there, you can do some things right there now. Like, I think you can sign up for our receptionist right now. You can. So the receptionist is cool. The receptionist will answer the phone. It will greet them how you like. We've built those, what we're called stages into it. So if a certain piece of logic hits, we've taught it to go over to this section. And so, we can, and we have some videos on how to set that up already. You can go in and sign up for that right now. That is $0 a month. We're not charging anything for it. We are charging usage fees on top of the actual usage fees, just to be clear. So it's 40 cents a minute. If you think about that, let's say you're answering 10 calls a day, which would be a lot for one agent. I mean, I think answering 10 calls would be a lot for an individual agent. That's certainly not a lot for a big agent or for a big agency, but you expect that every call will take about anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, probably average a minute, because a lot of the calls will end quicker. And so 10 calls, it might cost you $4 a day to be busy like that with this receptionist. And if you don't want to use it, don't use it, but you can
You
sign
don't
up for that.
have a
Figure it out.
receptionist. This is,
But
right?
yeah,
If you don't have
try it.
one, this might be the way to start, because $4 is a whole lot cheaper than 20 bucks an hour, right? So,
Yeah.
so yes, I will include the website when I send out the information. I put it in the chat in case you were looking for it. It'll be on the YouTube. So somebody said, will you consider independent agents who are direct and don't use an FMO for ACA? Well, that's everybody. You don't have, I don't know about
Yeah,
anybody else. I'm a direct.
I don't care about
So
your
yes.
contracting at all. I don't care
Yeah.
about your contracting one bit. Who you work with, who you don't work with.
In fact, if you are a downline, not a downline, if you're like an LOA, you're going to use their system. But if you're a direct agent, that's what this is for. So even if you use Health Sherpa, if you use Insura, if you use any of the other enrollment, we might have to do some healthcare.gov this year if you're Oscar, right? Isn't that the one who was
Yeah.
like, oh, we're not going to work with Sherpa?
I don't know what
I still don't
Oscar.
understand how that works. It doesn't make any sense to me. They're
I
still
don't
going to have
know
to
how they're going
show
to
it.
enroll Oscar this year.
And I'm like, wait a minute, if I log you into Oscar, Oscar's not going to pay me because they're not paying. So we'll find out. But yeah, so I will put that in the email when I send out. And hopefully when you have that, Mike, will you have, because everybody's going to want to know this. All right, it's free for 3 months, but what's it going to charge, right? Because it's not worth doing it if it's like, oh, it's going to be $1,000 a minute, right?
No.
So you'll have those rates out at that point too, or at least a start.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty moderate. I mean, like they're going to be pretty modest, especially compared to other AI systems. Like, who is that company? There's a company that is Conversionly. They all have some sort of similar names these days, but there's been one that's been around for a while, and their whole angle is they're selling you a text appointment system, well, and email. I went through their system myself. I reverse crunch a lot of a lot of campaigns. If any of you've seen Mark Manson in your lead list, that's this guy. So sorry about that, by the way. Mark Manson has about 300 agents at the moment. So if any of you recognize that name, don't do that guy's application. Anyways, so so what were we talking about? I was um, I forget what I was I was trying to. I made a joke and forgot what I was talking about.
Well, Gail has a question. So we've talked about
Yeah.
Health Sherpa and their back end Excel spreadsheet that's a mile long. What about state runs? So if they, I don't know, Colorado, I'm assuming, and I don't know, you guys, I don't do any state runs, but I'm assuming that system's going to have a way for you to be able to download your system. Will your system be able to work
Mhm.
with that? So,
Look,
Pennsylvania, Georgia, whoever.
yeah, the only difference is the Health Sherpa integration is not going to do anything for you there. And so our ACA flow does do a quote. It creates a quote for the clients and shows them policies. And so that is a CMS API call, which does not connect to state exchanges. So in that spot, if somebody's doing a non-FFM state, it simply pushes them to the next level first without showing them the quote. So it just goes straight to setting the appointment. Also, our ACA flow is not designed to really be required. It's designed to show value. It's so they can complete it, and it's nice to get all their information. But we are texting them and calling them and trying to get them into an appointment as soon as they become a lead. The ACA flow is almost just like okay, if you don't want to talk to us right now, take a look at this. Give us your information first. Check out what you're eligible for first. And then when you're ready to get on the phone with us, you can. But we are chasing them down. Again, I got to stop saying that. We are elegantly encouraging them to
We're
talk to
giving
us.
them multiple touch points. So anybody
That's
who's
right. Yeah,
taken
right.
marketing, you have to have multiple touch points. Just because
Yeah,
somebody
right.
said, ignores you the first time doesn't mean they're not interested, right? So multiple touch points.
100%.
And
Yeah.
so there you go. So if you have a state exchange and you're not going to have it run a quote, that's fine, right? Because that's not, you want them. The main point of this is for them to contact you. And if you can get that information ahead of time, great. But it's not a requirement. I mean, we have now, because those of you who've been on here a long time know that 90% of our clients walk into our office. We're requiring them to fill out their paperwork that we send them via text 24 hours before their appointment. Because if somebody calls
Same
me
idea. Right. That's
and
the
they're
same
like,
idea.
okay, we'll show up 10 minutes early and fill it out. Okay, they've made that gesture. But even us, I mean, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Totally.
Because we're busy, and as an agent, if you're slow right now, this is something I want you to think of. What do you want your life to look like when you're busy? Don't give them your personal cell phone now. Give a business phone number and keep your hours 9 to 5 if that's what you want when you're busy. Because right now, especially when you're starting out, you're like, I will take anybody at any time, and they're calling me at 10 o'clock on Saturday. I will take that. Don't set your boundaries now. What does
Totally.
he want to look like? So you can start setting up expectations of this is what I want, because it's a lot harder to make stricter rules if you had it too loose. And so same with this kind of system. If this is what you want, I don't necessarily need all the information. I just want your name and your zip code, right? Like, okay, if that's all you want, Mike's system that's all I want to get. Or you know what? I want them to give me, how many people are in their family and stuff. Even my quote tool on our website, we ask their income. No, I don't ask their date. No, we do. We ask their date of birth. So, they don't have to give that to me to talk to me, but most of them do, right?
Right.
Because they
Yeah.
want a quick quote. So, but then, yeah. So anybody, I've got, like I said, I'll include the email on there. Mike put his email again. So,
Yeah, that was my let me put my email there real quick.
or not his email, yeah, his website. Put his email then, and then Jill said retire flow. Would this be an equivalent process? I don't know what a retire flow is.
Yeah, it's very similar. But we don't do Medicare yet, but it's very, very similar. They look very similar. They flow very similar. Actually, our developers live in the same city. My guys know their guys. So they're like buddies. They like go drink beers together and stuff. It's fun. So they'll come back and they'll say things like, the retire flow guys have added all these clients last month. Why haven't you added clients? I'm like, thanks guys, appreciate it.
I will say,
What's
coming
that?
from the person who loves ACA, and I've been promoting ACA since the beginning. I mean, those of you who've heard my story with North American, they're an FMO. Andy Daster, who was in charge, he hated the Affordable Care Act. And I'm like, excuse me, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And he's like, you can't make a living. I'm like, excuse me, I'm making a really good living. So it is kind of nice to find a CRM that started with ACA. Because right now there's so many CRMs that it's Medicare and then they tweak some things for ACA. And I'm like, they are not
Totally.
the same. Yes, we need their name, date of birth, so blah, blah. But it is kind of
Mhm.
nice to have one that's starting with ACA and then
Yeah,
it's
there's a
going to
lot of
grow.
specific problems here that need to be addressed. And I
Yeah.
think that most of these generalized CRMs just offer you a couple generalized templates. And then, like you said, they just edit them a little bit for different classes. And that works okay. And, like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not, it doesn't solve specific problems that you have. So we decided, I mean, look, this is not 2018 where, you know, these CRMs are just going out there. So there's a, just to compete in a world like this, you have to come in with something better. You can't just come in these days, in my opinion, and say, "Hey, I got a new CRM. Who wants to use it?" I don't even think that's gonna, like, nobody would care. Everyone has the CRM they're using now, and those CRMs have been around for a while. So, like, the generalized CRMs are quite developed, and so, you know, even just to compete in the market, add something extra to the market. You know, we wanted to come in and really solve the ACA problem better than anybody else.
So Sharon, you asked if you're looking for a good CRM, is there one he would recommend? He would recommend his.
Yeah, and look, if you want to build your own, just go into high level. I'll give you an affiliate link. We'll get paid anyways.
Right.
Uh,
There
yeah.
are some companies, Mike is one, I talked to another, like, there's some people who are really tech savvy, and I really do think they're gonna, like, agency block, we're gonna end up leaving them behind because they're just so cumbersome and they're not built for us. We've been doing researching on all kinds of stuff because we've got Medicare, we've got ACA, we have group, you know, we're trying to find a
Mm,
CRM. And I'm really fascinated by all these new companies, these new IT
uh-huh.
people that are building ones because they realize there's a problem. So Mike
Yeah.
came, he did insurance and then saw the problem. Another friend of mine, her husband, because he's been watching her struggle,
Hmm.
like, I can build something better than what you have. So, you know, I think, I mean, this is the
Hmm.
good side of technology, right? The bad side is there's so much of it. The good side is, hey, there's so much of it. Now
Yeah.
we don't
Right.
have to have a buka. We don't have this big hairy monster that they're trying to edit. We can have it
Well,
more custom
have you
built.
heard the term bleeding edge versus cutting edge? So,
Right.
yeah, cutting edge is like what people refer to as the best of the best. You can cut through the junk, and, you know, you're doing all these awesome, great things. But in reality, most technology ends up being more difficult and costly than useful, until you work out all the problems and figure out how to exactly to use things, and figure out what not to do. There's all sorts of ways you could destroy value with AI. All sorts of ways.
Right.
You could just absolutely murder it. You know, you can just mow them down, and they will never talk to you again if you do the wrong things. And that's absolutely true. You know, so it takes time to take these new systems and really make them worthwhile. And there's just too much technology out there to do that with a lot of things.
Right.
I mean, it's overwhelming. They're, you know, yeah,
One
sorry.
last question. Does
Uh-huh.
the system include call recording capabilities? So does it have the phone system built on
Uh-huh.
your CRM yet?
Yes. So we use high level. So we don't want to double down on those fees. So we have that setting turned off for our agent portal. So we do our call recordings using the high level system that does those recordings. It's just a little switch in the back of our settings if you want to record it inside of our system instead. So our receptionist, for instance, will like gives transcripts of the conversation, and if we flip on that setting, it'll also give the recording right there. But the way we're doing it now is we're letting that recording sit inside of the high level, what you call the conversation, like the contact page, because it is going through, ultimately, it's going through a high level phone number where it's being recorded.
So there
But
you go,
yes,
guys.
everything's recorded,
Thank you
100%.
so much. I'm really excited. If you have more questions, Mike's email will be on there. The email that I'm sending out. Mike, I really appreciate you coming on.
Christina, thank you for having me.
No,
It's been lovely.
I know
Always
it's,
fun.
it's kind of fun to talk to somebody who's passionate about
Yeah,
what they
I'm
do.
having fun over here. You know, we're having
That's
a good
right.
time.
All
Thanks,
right.
Christina.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mike, and see everybody next week.